as a new immigrant, I did not have a credit history. You could be the richest person in the world and still have no credit score because you did not follow the US credit system. I'll tell the best financial advice I did not get was to think about investing early and investing for the long term.
Hello, and welcome to the $100 Real Estate Investor. I'm your host, Sachin Latawa, CEO and founder of Tirios. This is a podcast where we demystify everything about real estate investing. It's a lot easier than you might think. Later in this episode, I touch on why understanding real estate cycles is the key to making smart investment decisions. And then we play another round of real deals, real prices with some aspiring investors. But first up, we have an amazing guest for you. I'm so thrilled to welcome Rohit Mittal onto the show. Rohit built Stilt, a financial bridge for immigrants starting new lives in the US. We talk about everything immigrants need to know about building their financial foundation and one mystifying topic, building your credit score. Rohit shares his insights on how anyone can navigate the path to financial success through smart credit building. Hey Rohit, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Let's start with, how would you define the importance of building personal credit for your wealth, Rohit? How do you think about that, and how do you see it plays an important role to build your personal wealth?
Most of the immigrants I see, they're not used to living on credit in their home countries. Like me coming from India, the only loan I ever took was for my education here uptown at Columbia. And I didn't realize if you're going for a mortgage, if you're going for an auto loan, if you're going for just a personal loan or credit card, whatever it may be, your personal credit helps you get lower rates, which means you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest over the lifetime of your loan. And that's particularly helpful in saving more money and increasing your wealth over time.
Right. You definitely had a fair bit of experience with building credit models and working in the credit space before you moved to the US. And then you started studying at Columbia for your master's. Was there a defining moment for you where you personally realized that I need to think about building personal credit, and this is such of an important concept for you to understand?
Funnily enough, that's why I also started my company Stilt, which was giving credit to immigrants in the US. I have a bit of a backstory. I actually first lived in Germany for about a year, and then I lived in London, and then I moved to the US for my master's. So the common thing I saw across all three countries is that as a new immigrant, I did not have access to basic financial products because I did not have a credit history in that country. It was more pronounced in the US. And not too far from here, I actually had to sleep on a Columbia alum's couch when I came for school here, because everywhere we went, all landlords were asking for a credit history or a rental deposit or something else, or someone to co-sign, and I had none of those things. I just showed up with not that much money, and then I had to rent an apartment. So the importance of credit became very clear to me, and it took me a while to really understand how deeply ingrained credit score and personal credit is in the US financial system. Even my phone was was dependent on credit, so I couldn't get my phone. I had to get a Metro PCS prepaid phone, and then everyone else had iPhones or whatever at the time they used. And my first job was also in a similar space, as you mentioned. I built risk models and stuff, and again at the same time I would see the credit risk policy just starts with a credit score. So let's say if this person does not have, let's say, 700 credit score, 700 FICO score or Vantage score, then we'll decline this person. And then if they are above 700, then we'll consider them for what type of product we can offer them.
So if we go back to maybe basics for a minute, Rohit, what is a credit score?
So credit score, it's different in every different country. It's measured differently in all the various countries in the world. But largely, credit score is trying to measure your ability to repay and your probability of repaying, essentially. I differentiate between two things. One is your credit history, and second is your credit score. So credit history is what you see on your credit bureau report. So sometimes the three most common credit bureaus are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. There are many others, alternative credit bureaus, so on and so forth. They host all your credit history. So whatever you have done in credit. Now, credit score is a score built on top of that using the credit history that you have. And it may have additional factors, but largely the score is just derived from that raw data of your credit history.
It's a formulaic derivation,
yes.
Right?
And then basically what it means is someone with 850 credit score or FICO score is less likely to default, or someone with 800 is more likely to default than 850. It doesn't give you a very deterministic number. It just says like someone with lower FICO score has a higher probability of default compared to someone with a higher credit score.
Right. And Rohit, you are a co-founder for Still, which is a company which started giving loans and credit products to immigrants. You were a Y Combinator backed company.
Right.
And I believe you started with lending your own money, own capital,
yes,
when you started the company.
Yes.
And so now that you think about being on both sides of the equation, right? You've been a borrower to start
yes.
with, and now you've thought through and run a company as a lender. What are some of the things or misconceptions or some of the intricacies of how credit works that consumers miss out on, and they should be thinking a little bit more about that?
So yeah, we started Still by lending our own money, and I say to people, don't try this at home.
Sure.
Approach to starting your company. Generally, what we saw was I think immigrants are just largely unaware of credit risk as a concept. Our customers we lend to customers from 150 different countries, and immigrants from different parts of the world have a different way of how they view credit. I'll talk about, let's say, India. Indians don't really want to take debt, and even if they do, they want to pay it back, and they think that reflects better on their credit history, as in that they don't have any debt, right? And in the US, it's people want to see that you took debt and you paid it over time. So not taking any debt, surprisingly, could be a negative for you. And then that debt can take many different forms. It can in the form of a credit card, it can be in the form of a personal loan, it can be in the form of auto loan, so on and so forth. So let's say in theory, if you are going to buy a car and you can get a 0% financing from your seller, maybe that 0% financing is useful for you if you haven't had any sort of credit in the past, because then you can make payments on time and you're not paying interest. It's the same for you. I discourage people from paying interest to build credit history, but in this case, you can take that 0% financing and it can help you in building your credit. And the same is true with taking secured cards, so on and so forth. So people don't realize that you have to show that you can actually borrow and then you can pay it back. That helps you build credit history. And we saw so many of our customers, they never had any credit in the US, even though they were living here for 2 years or 4 years. And when we pulled credit reports from these credit bureaus, we saw that this person was just not did not have any activity.
Blank slate.
It's a blank slate. Yeah. And then that also sometimes acts as an identity check in the US. If you're going and applying for credit somewhere, they pull this report, and if you have some activity in there, you'll see that lenders, they use it to validate your identity and that you are a good risk. So I think most immigrants miss out on that part from what I've seen.
Right. From the point of view of lenders, they want to see that you can take debt and responsibly pay it back and be a responsible borrower so that they can lend you more next time you need something.
Yes.
Right. So going back to maybe your experience, Rohit, on starting as an immigrant and coming to the US, if you had to start over, what are some of the steps you would suggest somebody who's coming in new into the US should take as the first step, maybe second step? What are the couple of steps they should take to start building their credit in the US?
So I moved to the US now 14 something years ago, and the world has significantly changed.
Yep.
Uh, Now I think it's possible to open a bank account even before you move to the US. Like you can transfer money there. There are multiple services that are or multiple companies that provide these types of credit services to immigrants. You don't have to like take a loan or pay interest. You can just do a secured card. You can be an authorized user on someone's card or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I moved 20 years back as well, Rohit, and I think at that time you had to carry US dollars
Right.
if you were coming to US, and there was no other way to bring cash or open an account because you need an SSN at those times. So it was a lot more difficult, but it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think still to your point, when they arrive, they can start thinking about secure card is a perfect way to start building a credit and start showing the history. And I think one of the important points you made is you should not be paying interest. As long as you use your card and pay down on a
Yes.
monthly basis, it's not costing you more, right? It's just a process that will take you longer to
Right.
build that credit out.
Right.
What would you suggest? I think coming from the personal finance point of view, you came in as a student. A lot of people come to find jobs directly as well. And there is a little bit of a circumstances difference where they are placed in terms of how much cash they have, how much resources they have. But somebody coming in as a student or somebody who's starting working in the US for the first time, what's your suggestions in terms of how to build personal wealth, right? Is it going step by step and saying, let's do some emergency savings, let's do a secured card? What would you suggest them in terms of the steps they should take? And in what order should they think about starting investing in
Right.
the US as well?
As a preface to that response, I'll mention like the US like looks at your liabilities if you're going to buy something or whatever it may be. They never look at your assets.
Yeah.
Like the way the US system is set up, like you can apply for any type of loan anywhere and they'll say, how much have you borrowed? What's your current like liabilities and stuff? Nobody's going to say, how much assets have you saved? Like how much money have you sent back home? So on and so forth. So like it's very heavily biased towards looking at your liabilities. And because it's always about liabilities in the US, many people don't think about the asset side of the equation. If they think of themselves as a personal,
Right.
Their own personal company and they have an asset side and a liability side, they always focus on liability, never think about the asset side. And that's where I think we actually need a lot more education on building wealth sooner. There's literally no one I have met who didn't say that I should have started to build wealth sooner.
Right.
And building wealth for different folks mean different things. Like for some people, it's like, oh, I used to live in this city or whatever. And they're like, homes were $100,000 and I should have bought a home back then. And now it's like $700,000 or whatever it may be. And building wealth feels riskier when people are younger. So what I have seen across most of the people I've met is they just think of it as a riskier thing than it is. And what I tell people, like after paying off your debt, and debt is also like different types of debt. Let's say if you have credit card debt or if you have a student loan, or if you have a personal loan, so on and so forth, like pay down those things first and then focus on building wealth. But if you have like an auto loan, which is dependent on your car and things like that, that's a different thing. Like I don't consider that as like a material debt that you need to pay off. And as you pay these things off, like then you can just depending on what your situation is, you can start saving money. And then many people save money by sending it back home. Many people like putting it in a savings account or something like that. The important thing to also remember is like you have to start investing as you are saving.
The power of compounding is we keep talking about is the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of young people feel that $100 is not going to make a difference.
Right.
But it is. It makes a lot of difference. If you invest, I tell everybody, if you start investing $200-300, you're guaranteed to be a millionaire.
Right.
It's just a matter of time
Right.
that you will see that and you will start feeling to see your wealth really grow. But taking that first step is, for most people, it also feels like, I don't know. So they get lost or they are held back that maybe I'm doing something wrong,
Right.
Rather than taking that first step, start with S&P and invest in that. You don't have to pick stocks.
Right.
But that's such a critical component, which most of the education system also doesn't teach.
Right.
That this is what the personal finance should look like for you. I think for us, again, we see that real estate is such a powerful tool to build wealth as well. But home ownership is synonymous with American dream in the
Right.
US, right? Everybody thinks that you have to be a homeowner if you think about you have achieved your American dream.
Yes.
But in recent years, it has been more difficult to become a homeowner. We have seen asset prices shot up. We have seen interest rates shot up. So it's much costlier to qualify even as a homeowner. So from your perspective, you've seen as an entrepreneur working in lending space, and now I believe you are heavily involved in investing in multiple areas. Are there any solutions you're seeing in the market which are making it maybe more accessible for young families to become a homeowner?
I think the young families or younger people, it's always just seems too far off.
Sure.
Like that's what we all get stuck with. I feel like, as you mentioned earlier, just invest $100 in S&P and whatnot. Like that's also a reasonable way to build wealth. The funny thing is that where I am in my life stage, or people a little older or younger than me, all of them are like, oh man, we should have bought a home earlier. Oh man, we should have invested earlier, because it always feels expensive at the time, and
Right.
we don't do it. We are not doing it now because it feels expensive now. So at the end of the day, when these younger folks are looking at various options, be it investing in the market or in real estate or something else, I think they should view it as long-term wealth creation rather than short-term lottery kind of thing. And companies like yours and many others are trying to bring younger people into the fold in terms of wealth creation. And there are also there's so much noise out there. So having a trusted company where you can invest money for the long term that's going to just reinvest the profits and help you continue to build wealth is very important. Otherwise, you'll lose money in just investing in the noise.
Right. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we are really excited about at Tirios, especially, Rohit, is that we allow people to invest in real estate, and you don't need a credit check, you don't need a mortgage application, and you don't need a large down payment. And to your point, in terms of credibility, we are SEC qualified, so we're really excited about the opportunity we're looking to provide to young people. And this might be a little bit more controversial. So what's your take, Rohit, on buy now, pay later services?
Yeah.
Right? Affirm is a public company. Klarna is coming to the IPO market, and it might be a great business from the lending standpoint, right? What are your thoughts on, for the consumers, is that a good practice to use some of these services, or are they falling into the debt trap, essentially, where it compounds and they go into a spiral if they're not able to pay?
Yeah, Klarna has filed to go IPO, and they've been doing these partnerships, particularly the DoorDash one. There's so many memes around, people calling CBOs as collateralized burrito obligations. There is, particularly in the US, there is infinite demand and hunger for credit. If you offer credit in any shape or form to large part of the US market, they are just willing to consume that credit. Affirm, Klarna, and similar. Klarna has been around for 20 years. Affirm has been around for, I think, 15 years, something like that. And all of these companies started by saying that we want to end credit card debt. Instead of having a revolving line of credit, we want to have fixed payments that end on a certain date, so you don't get yourselves into debt. But credit card debt, I think, has increased by 50% or so, or maybe 100% since these companies have come into the market, and there's like haven't even made a rounding error dent
on the credit cards.
On the credit card outstanding balance. So it's just like, I think US is a market where you can just offer infinite credit and consumers will consume that credit in any shape or form. And then probably every generation just needs something that's suited for them. And now getting credit has become, over time, if you see like, fewer people took credit or they did not revolve balances, then they started revolving balance. Now people have multiple credit cards, and it's like, it's a cultural part of the US. And now buy now, pay later is for the newer generation. I don't know the average age of people who are using buy now, pay later, but I think it's
much younger.
It's much younger. Like over time, I think it's all going to work out, because like these companies cannot continue to make money by offering loans on your burritos but they'll figure out a business model. I think it's going to evolve into a new type of banking system for these Gen Z population. Affirm and Klarna both have come out with apps where you can just also deposit money and like do a lot more financial types of financial transactions aside from just borrowing money. So I think they're using buy now, pay later as a hook to get these people into their apps, and Gen Z will have to figure out its own usage of buy now, pay later and how it fits in their life.
Yeah, completely. I think I'm 100% with you, Rohit, on that they are probably adding a supplement to the credit card ecosystem, which we already had, rather than replacing that. Right. And all of these companies obviously are using this as an acquisition channel to sell them more products. But it's also, again, I want to reflect the ease at which Affirm and Klarna offer you this product is embedded mostly. Like you think of it as a second nature of it. And go with it and roll with it without realizing it.
I don't know if you, so this video started circling around on the internet about when the first time a credit card was introduced at Burger King.
Yes.
It's a 2-minute video and people are saying, what? Like it's going to take longer to process this credit card. And the person behind the counter is asking questions like, do you need this? And there's like debit or credit. And the guy is like, I have to like answer more questions.
Sure.
So it's kind of funny to see like when I guess it was like 70s or 80s when it was introduced, and now it's just a part of our, a deeply ingrained part of the society. So I think buy now, pay later could be one of those things.
Yeah, I think they're definitely supplementing the credit card ecosystem for sure, rather than replacing them. And you can make the same argument that credit card is bad for consumers in the similar way if you don't pay it back every period, right? You're paying interest. And it's the same thing. Buy now, pay later. They offer interest-free for a certain period of time. But if you're going and financing that, it's going to add a lot of cost to it.
I think buy now, pay later in some ways has been around because like it's a point of sale loan. And it's like auto loan is actually buy now, pay later in some ways. 0% auto loan financing is buy now, pay later over 36 months or something. And it has been true for like TVs and fridges and all these things at the Best Buys of the world.
That's the mortgage. Mortgage is that entire concept is buy now an asset or a home and pay later over a period of 30 years.
They changed it with technology. They changed the marketing and made it
convenience. They're just selling convenience at the point of sale. Absolutely right. How do you respond to the comment, Rohit, that credit scores primarily measure your relationship to debt versus your personal wealth or your how well you're doing in the society?
It's so funny. Like there's so many stories. If you work in this industry, like we saw it with like still investors actually. So one investor of ours, he was super wealthy and all of that stuff, and we needed his credit report to file a license because he was on the board and he had a material stake in the company. And he got his credit report and his credit score was like 640 or something like that. He was like, how is it possible? And this like super wealthy guy in the Bay Area, like way above high net worth, right? Like, so he looks at that and he's like, many years ago, he had a Comcast internet connection, and then he forgot to return the Comcast the device and then the equipment, and the Comcast like put a ding on his credit score, and he had never checked his credit score. Obviously he doesn't need it.
Sure.
And then he got like really mad, and he went and was like, I'm gonna get it fixed and all of that stuff. And I'm sharing these examples to just give you a sense of like, it's just completely unrelated. You could be the richest person in the world and still have no credit score because like you did not follow the US credit system. And earlier in the conversation, we talked about how US views and looks at credit. It's like you have to use credit. And that's what I was saying. Immigrants think that if they don't use credit, they're better off. And the same is true for all of these folks. Like US credit system has no idea about the personal asset side of things, and they are only looking at credit. And that's one of the shortcomings of the system. Like they don't look at people holistically when lending or making these credit decisions.
Right. Do you have a favorite saying, quote, or a mantra which resonates with the personal finance?
My personal quote. It's actually in Hindi, so I'll say it in Hindi and then I'll translate in English. I don't know where I heard it a long time ago, and it was like, "Agar dal chawal mein reh jaoge, to chand tak kahan se jaoge?"
Sure.
Which basically means that if you're just like being bogged down by day-to-day small things around this stuff, like you won't be able to think big or do big things. And that's what I think about personal finance. Is like a lot of us try to save more from limited set of resources or limited set of money that we make, rather than thinking about making more money and trying to think big. And US is actually the best country for that. It gives you the room to think big, to do big things. And if we are here, we should like take advantage of that opportunity.
Absolutely. Also, money means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What does that money mean to you, Rohit? Is it financial freedom? Is it wealth? Is it something else? How do you translate money for you, what that actually signifies or means for you?
Yeah, I think the closest one would be like freedom.
Sure.
For me, and it gives me the freedom to do all sorts of stupid things or like try things. And after, like, obviously when I built the company, like I started building the company after I paid off my student loan, right? And I could have probably started earlier, but like at that time I felt a little free to build my company. And then thankfully it kind of worked out. And then now I feel free to do the next bigger thing. And so it's just like, I think you're unlocking just the next level of thing that you want to do. And it's just, money is just super helpful for that.
Absolutely. Right. We've talked a lot about credit today. So let's do maybe a credit check, and let's go with some rapid fire questions. Give me your view on topic for the next 4 or 5 things, and we'll talk a little bit more if we need to on that. So, credit score check. To the consumers, should do that weekly, monthly, annually. What's your suggestion for that?
I think quarterly or annually is fine. There are a lot of services that tell you if your credit score has changed materially. All of the credit cards have inbuilt credit score tracker. So every month, if you are so inclined, like every month you are paying your bills, you can check your credit score at the time, but it takes minimum 30 days for it to change anyways.
Yep.
So I think quarterly would be a good balance, but semi-annually is fine too.
My personal suggestion for everybody I talk to, Rohit, is that you should have a credit lock or freeze. Because there have been so many cybersecurity incidents over the last 5-7 years, and it's very easy for somebody to get fraudulent transactions in your name. So keep a check and keep it locked unless you need to unlock it for accessing that for a product.
Makes sense.
What would you say is the most underrated credit building product? If something comes to your mind, that's everybody should think about and do that.
Because I saw like all variations of this at Still. I think the most uncommon one was like getting yourself added as an authorized user on someone else's card.
Right.
Like everyone knows about secured card. People know about like lower limit card, so on and so forth. But they can also add themselves as as an authorized user to like a very close friend or
Right.
or an extended family member or whatever it may be.
That's an excellent advice. I would definitely suggest everybody, if they can do that, to do that. If you can change something in the FICO credit score model, what would be one thing that you would change, right?
That's a tough one because I have a lot of things I would want to change. The first one, I would say, like, take assets into account in someone's credit score. But I'll give my second one also, which is happening now, is like taking bank transaction data into account. That actually opens up access to credit for about 45 million people who are unscorable right now in the US.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, asset side, or the income side, is something that most lenders still don't consider while doing that. But that's an easy one to do. I think this might be a little controversial, knowing the topic we are on.
Yeah.
So Dave Ramsey's theory that all debt is bad,
Interesting.
right? Do you agree with that philosophy, or do you disagree with that?
I strongly disagree with that. Plus, the main, and I don't have to go too far to see that, like, if I was not able to take debt to come to the US to study at Columbia, like, a lot of other things would not have happened.
Right.
So I think all debt is bad is going to prevent you from doing great things, because as Howard Marks, I'm gonna like counter Dave Ramsey with Howard Marks, is like there are no risky assets, it's all risk management. So if you think about it that way, then I don't think all debt is bad.
What is the best financial advice, Rohit, you would say you got when you first came to the US?
I think I'll tell the best financial advice I did not get was to think about investing early and investing for the long term.
Sure.
I think that was the financial advice I think I should have gotten at the time, and that would have significantly changed the life outcome over that period of time. Like, we have had incredible wealth creation in the country, and I think many of us could have participated more in that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's even with S&P, it's like if you miss out just on 10 best days in the market,
Right.
your wealth is down by 50%,
Right.
literally. So
Yeah.
you don't want to time the market as the
Right.
is the time in the market versus timing the market, right?
Took me a long time to learn that.
Yes. And again, we don't teach that
Right.
in education system, and there's no concept, there's no class of that. And most of us learn that through making mistake and
Right.
realizing it too late that I should have
after
done that.
losing a lot of money.
100%. Rohit, it was so nice to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine.
Thank you, Rohit. Now it's time for the market snapshot. Today, we are diving deep into market cycles. We'll understand what they are and how to navigate them successfully. Real estate cycles are prolonged periods of supply and demand imbalance. In fact, real estate markets are rarely near equilibrium, and understanding long-term cycles is the key to making smart investment decisions and deploying your hard-earned capital with a lot more confidence. There are 4 main phases of a real estate market cycle: recovery, expansion, hypersupply, and recession. These phases represent the periodic fluctuations in the real estate market cycle, driven by economic conditions, interest rates, population growth, and most importantly, employment growth. Remember, these phases are specific to each real estate asset class and each sub-market. We have all heard the famous phrase location, 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 which still holds true because real estate assets obviously cannot be physically moved. Therefore, local conditions play a significant part in assessing each real estate market cycle. Let's dive into each phase. Phase 1 is recovery. This is the phase of stabilization. During this phase, vacancy rates are at their highest and there's an oversupply in the market, which is either due to decrease in demand or excess construction. As demand starts to pick up, this oversupply gradually begins to decrease. In this phase, rent starts to stabilize, and this phase continues until the market reaches its long-term occupancy average and we inch towards a supply and demand equilibrium. Phase 2, we have the expansion phase. This is the phase of rent spikes. Demand growth here picks up and is stronger than the supply in the market. As vacancy rates fall and supply tightens, rents rise rapidly during this phase. Eventually, vacancy reaches a low enough level, leading to demand for new construction. As with most real estate phases, the expansionary phase can last a long time. The cycle peaks when demand and supply are growing at about the same rate, or when we put it in the economic terms, we are at equilibrium. Before equilibrium, demand is growing faster than supply, and after the point of equilibrium, supply grows faster than demand. The third phase is hypersupply, what I personally call the illusion phase. It's an illusion because strong occupancy hides the underlying shift happening in demand and supply, which is the beginning of oversupply in the market. In the hypersupply phase, the supply growth overtakes demand, and the vacancy rate starts to creep up as new supply enters the market. In this case, rental growth slows, and despite high occupancy rates, the market realizes it has turned downwards, eventually leading to a slowdown in new construction commitments. If the supply continues to grow faster than demand, the market falls into phase 4. Phase 4 is the recession. This phase begins as the market moves past its long-term occupancy average with high supply growth and low or negative demand growth in the market. Excess supply competes for much lower demand, leading to high vacancy rates and rapid rent declines. We can see that happening in most multifamily apartments across the nation. While the recession phase is challenging, it can also present opportunities for savvy investors. Savvy investors with a long-term perspective, the right capital stack, and the skills to identify undervalued assets can find enormous opportunities. The cycle usually hits bottom when new construction comes to a halt or when demand growth picks up and becomes higher than new supply. The fundamental truth is that if a real estate developer gets money, they will build. Similarly, if the debt is cheap and plentiful, real estate owners will overpay and will over-leverage. These two truths underscore the boom and bust of all real estate market cycles. Remember that bad real estate investment deals are everywhere, even in great market cycles. And you can always find good investment opportunities even in the bad markets. Drop us a comment to tell us what you are seeing in the market cycles in your local market. That's a wrap for today's market snapshot. Welcome to Real Deals, Real Prizes. This is the game where I invite a few bold and aspiring investors to test their real estate knowledge. I'll share some photos and details of houses on the market right now, and our contestants will guess the price. And of course, there are lots and lots of prizes depending on how close to the price you can get. Today, we have 3 guests with us: Sean, Ruth, and Dalton. Hi everyone. Can you take a minute and introduce yourselves? Tell us where you're calling us from and what do you do?
Hi, yes, my name is Dalton. I live in Denver, Colorado, and I work in medical sales.
My name is Sean. I'm calling from Austin, Texas, and I'm a full-time MBA student at McCombs.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I'm calling in from New York, New York, and I'm a children's writer.
Fantastic. Welcome to the show, Ruth. Today, we will be looking at Texas and playing with San Antonio, New Braunfels market today. San Antonio, New Braunfels has a population of over 2.7 million and is the 3rd largest market in Texas, behind Dallas and Houston. This market is actually larger than Austin in terms of population. As a general background about the market, the median listing price of houses in this market is $295,000. So, are you guys ready? Let's play Real Deals, Real Prizes. The first house we're going to look at is located in New Braunfels, which is a San Antonio suburb between Austin and San Antonio. It's a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2-story home, 2280 square feet, 2-car garage, and it's a brand new home. It is conveniently located off the highway, just minutes from the town center. The entrance of the home includes a private study room, a powder room, and a wide sink. Connected to the dining space is open concept kitchen. The kitchen features granite counters, ample counter space, and a large walk-in pantry. The master bedroom is fitted down with 3 large windows, letting abundant natural light. And if you're looking to embrace great outdoors, it leads from the family room to the covered patio outdoors. Heading up the stairs, you'll find 3 additional bedrooms, all with spacious walk-in closets and a full secondary bathroom. Substantially sized game room allowing for ultimate game night with friends. The school ratings in this area for this home are 8 out of 10 for elementary, 4 out of 10 for middle school, and 6 out of 10 for high school. The school ratings are from greatschools.org. And we'll start the guesses with you, Dalton, for this one.
I'm going to guess that it's somewhere around $329,000.
Okay, $329,000. Sean, do you want to take the next guess and tell us what you think the price of this home is?
My guess is going to be $365,000.
$365,000. Okay. Ruth, how about you?
I'm going to guess $390,000.
$390,000. Let's see what the real price of the home actually is. It's $418,972. Ruth, you are pretty close, actually. You are within, I would say, 6-7% of the home price. So you will win $250 investment credit for this. Sean, you are about 20% of the price, so you will win $150 credit for the guess. And Dalton, you just missed out. Okay, let's go to the next home, guys. So the second home is located in San Antonio, in the city itself. It's a 5-bed, 4.5 bath, 2-story home, 3,674 square feet, and a 3-car garage. It's a stunning home built on half-acre home site. It's located in southeast San Antonio, and it's a perfect blend of suburban comfort and urban convenience. It has easy access to downtown, parks, lakes, military base, and the layout maximizes both functionality and the style. The kitchen is the focal point of the home, featuring modern appliances and ample counter space. The bathrooms are elegantly designed with attention to detail and quality fixtures. Each of the bedrooms are spacious and bright, and again, it offers a perfect blend of comfort and style for families. The school ratings is 6/10 for elementary school, 4/10 for middle school, and 3/10 for high school. Let's start guesses with Ruth, you this time. See what do you think the price of this home could be?
$500,000.
$500,000. Okay. Sean, tell us what do you think the price of this home could be?
I should think it's definitely over 500. I'm playing it safe, going 570, so I'll go maybe like 585,000.
585,000. Okay. Dalton, you're next. Tell us what your guess is.
I'm going to go ahead and move it up to about 550,000.
So 550 for Dalton, 585 for Sean, and 500 for Ruth. Let's see what the actual price of this home is. This is $707,641.
Oh.
It's a very sizable home. So Sean, you are definitely within the 20% for this one. So you will win another $150 for this guess. Dalton and Ruth, you just missed out. So let's move on to the third house. It's located in Marion suburbs of San Antonio. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, single-story home. It is 1,657 square feet, 2-car garage, and it's a brand new home as well. Just west of it are a lot of restaurants, parks, and movie theaters. There are retailers and grocery shopping just a short drive from the home. And as we said, it's a 3-bedroom home that offers a single floor convenience. It's an open concept floor plan that combines the kitchen, living, and dining areas with access to the covered patio. 3 bedrooms are tucked away on the side of the home for enhanced comfort and privacy, and the luxury owner's suite includes a spa-inspired bathroom and walk-in closet. There's no rating for elementary school for this since this is a very new community. Middle school is rated 5 out of 10 and high school is rated 6 out of 10. So let's start the guesses with you, Sean, on this one. Do you have a guess what the price of this home could be?
$350,000.
$350,000. Okay. Dalton, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm going to go with $450,000.
$450,000. Okay. You guys have to see this is a much smaller home from the last one. It's only 1650 square feet. Ruth, do you want to take the next shot?
I think it's $275,000.
$275,000. Okay. Let's find out what the price of the home actually is. It is $265,999. So Ruth, you are probably within the hair distance of this. So you'll win $500 for a guess on this one. And Sean, you are little over the 20%. And Dalton, you are little over the 20% as well.
Oh, mine's zero. I know that.
Dalton, we will give you $150 credit to start investing, and hopefully it'll give you a little bit more chance to keep track of other markets other than Denver per year. Thank you so much for playing, guys. It was so much fun, and we will look forward to having you maybe again in the next few months.
Definitely.
Thanks for having us.
This was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you all. That's all for this episode of the $100 Real Estate Investor. I'm your host, Sachin Latawa. If you learned something new, please go ahead, rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, drop us a comment or a like. Learn more about Tirios at our website, tirios.ai. Thanks to our production team at Pod People, Amy Machado, Lauren Luco, Daniel Roth, and Kai Lee. Until next time, I'm Sachin Latawa. Go out, research, and start investing with confidence. See you next time. The opinions and views expressed in this program may not necessarily reflect the institutional views of Tirios or its affiliates. The content of this program does not constitute a recommendation from Tirios to the recipient and is provided for information purposes only. Tirios is not providing any financial, economic, legal, investment, accounting, or tax advice through this program or to its recipient. You can find the complete disclosure at www.tirios.ai/podcast/disclaimer.